Hi everyone. In this session, we will be discussing some of the case studies related to the water dispute management. We will primarily first talk about one of the most popular dispute of our times. Recently, this year only, we have had the Supreme Court decision onto the Kaveri water disputes. So, let us talk about that first in detail, and the rest we will have just a brief idea. So, the Kaveri water dispute is a very famous one and a serious conflict between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. The drainage area of the Kaveri, if we see, is cuts across 3 states and 1 union territory. Okay. The Tamil Nadu has the largest catchment basin of around over 43 square kilometers. Karnataka has over 34 square kilometers. Then Kerala has a just brief share close to 3000 square kilometer, and Pondicherry a very little, around 150 of the order of that. So, the dispute, the Kaveri water dispute basically was started very early, back in around the 19th century. So, that time the see, if we go the history, in the British rule, the Tamil Nadu, which was under the Madras presidency, was actually under the British rule, while Karnataka was, or which was back then in the kingdom of Mysore, just went for a very brief period in the hands of Britishers, and then again it basically came back as an independent kingdom. So, the kingdom of Mysore, or the Karnataka, which is now called Karnataka, was a state which was not was a region which was not under the Britishers at that time. Although it, for some part of time it was there, and during that phase when it was under the British rule, the Karnataka, they made a plan basically to develop some sort of irrigation projects under Karnataka and Tamil Nadu both way. However, it could not materialized, but when it became a like it again got back in the hands of the independent observers. So, the Mysore then planned to revive the irrigations project in 1881. This met with the resistance from the Madras presidency, okay, and eventually an agreement in 1892 was signed over the sharing of the water. Further, in 1910, Mysore came up with a plan to construct a dam at Kanambadi village to hold up 41.5 TMC feet of water. Okay. So, TMC is 1000 million cubic feet. Okay. You can see 1000 million as a billion. So, this is basically the 41.5 billion cubic feet of water. Now, when it basically came up with an idea of constructing a dam, so Madras opposed it. Okay. The Madras presidency opposed it. They refused to give its consent. So, they did not basically provided NOC, and because they did not provide the NOC, so so Mysore cannot go ahead with the plan. Instead, the Madras planned to build a storage dam at Mettur with a capacity of 80,000 million cubic feet. So, when there is a dispute arises, because they were already in an agreement in 1892, and then there was another like this dispute arise. So, they reached to the center for the first time, and after several rounds of arbitrations and negotiation, an engagement was arrived, and another agreement was signed in 1924, which was said to be effective for 50 years. So, this was the first time basically the issue reached to the center, okay, issue between the two states reached to the center. Now, accordingly Tamil Nadu was allowed to expand agriculture area by 11 lakhs acre from the existing 16 lakhs acre, and Karnataka was authorized to increase its irrigation area further 3 lakhs acre to from the 3 lakhs to 10 lakhs acre. So, that was the sort of resolution done back in the 1924. Now, what happened that post independence in 1956, the India had a reorganization of their states, okay, which is still going on. We are still coming up with new states, okay. We had Telangana a few years back, okay. So, with that kind of like reorganization, which was primarily based on the linguistic demographies. So, Kogadu or Kong, which is the birthplace of Kaveri, actually that became a part of the Mysore state, and Malabar, which was earlier the part of the Madras presidency, that went to the Kerala. The Pondicherry has also basically become a union territory in 1954. So, the issue which was earlier between the state of Mysore, princely state of Mysore, and the presidency of Madras was now basically a multi-state dispute, because Karnataka, and apart from the Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, the Kerala and Pondicherry also became a party of it. So, since Kerala and Pondicherry also became the stakeholder, they also staked its claim on becoming parties to the dispute. They also started demanding water from the river. So, the discussion continued, and this Kaveri Fact Finding Committee CFFC was constituted. This came up with its final report in 1973. Now, if you recall, the agreement between the two nations, which was effective for the period of 50 years, was done in 1924. So, that agreement was also about to expire, okay, because in agreement which was done in 1924 lapsed in 1974. So, the interstate discussions were held even before that, okay. There has been several intermediate discussions between the states and even involving the center. The Madras has already pleaded government to basically constitute a tribunal on this issue. Now, as soon as this agreement, the earlier agreement expired, then Karnataka started attempting to expand its farming activities in the Kaveri basin, because Karnataka, the lot of farming activities was restricted, because Karnataka has to meet that the earlier agreement signed between the Karnataka and the Tamil Nadu. So, since that agreement was in place up till 74, so Karnataka did not sort of initiated farmland development to a large scale in the Kaveri basin, but after it expired in 1974, they started thinking this and started building reservoirs. So, this river water sharing issue further emerged, because when this kind of attempts were being made. So, when Karnataka began construction of the particularly Hirangi dam at Kodagu, it prompted Tamil Nadu to move to the court for demanding the constitution of a tribunal under Interstate River Dispute Act, because it has already given requisition to the central government. Central government was not listening much at that time. So, it went to the court, and although Tamil Nadu later withdrew its case from the court, and the two states had several round of negotiations till April 1990 to basically see if agreeable solution comes out, but the result was not obtained. So, no agreeable result was obtained, the dispute still remained. Meanwhile, a farmers association in 1986 from Tamil Nadu moved to the Supreme Court demanding constitution of a tribunal. So, Supreme Court directed the centre to form a basically water dispute tribunal under this, and then based on this Supreme Court directives, a 3-man Kaveri water dispute tribunal was constituted on 2nd June of 1990. So, from the first request by Tamil Nadu was made as early as around 70, and it took a lot of time for constitution of the tribunal, and that was also directed based on the when the court intervened. Supreme Court gave the directive to the central government to constitute a tribunal, and then it was constituted in 1990. The tribunal's headquarter was at New Delhi, okay, and was headed by the Justice Chittos Mukherjee. Now, in front of the tribunal, there were as we are saying, there were 4 parties to that. So, in front of tribunal, the Karnataka proposed a demand of 465 TMC feet. Kerala also proposed a demand of around 100 TMC feet. Pondicherry of 9.3 TMC, and Tamil Nadu took a state that it said that the distribution should be in terms of the agreement that was done back in 1892 and 1924. So, as per that agreement, the 566 TMC of water going to the Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry, 177 feet to Karnataka, and 5 TMC water for the Kerala. So, this was the proposition presented in front of the tribunal. Different states have their own different demands. However, the total water in the Kaveri, water in the Kaveri in a year was basically 740 TMC feet. So, you can see here that total availability was of the order of 740, as tribunal got the data for different years, and then it was seen. And if you see the demand, so we have the demand as like 465 from Karnataka, then 100 from Kerala, and this 566 from Tamil Nadu. So, that way demand is Pondicherry around 10. So, demand was much higher as opposed to the supply, and that is what was the core issue with this dispute. So, soon after, when the tribunal was set up, Tamil Nadu first demanded a mandatory injunction of the Karnataka for immediate release of water and other relief. By the time decision comes, so Tamil Nadu press the Karnataka that at least he should be releasing some immediate relief water by that time. Tribunal initially dismissed it, but it reconsidered it after the Tamil Nadu plea to the Supreme Court. So, Tamil Nadu, when tribunal dismissed it, Tamil Nadu went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, I cannot do anything in this, but you go back to the tribunal, and sort of asked tribunal, gave the direction to tribunal to reconsider the demand from the Tamil Nadu. So, when tribunal reconsidered it, it basically gave an interim award that on 25th June 1991, so just within a setup of around an year, it gave its first interim award, and it directed Karnataka to release 20 TMC feet water to Tamil Nadu and not to increase its irrigated land area from the existing status. Now, Karnataka, when this interim award came, Karnataka sort of denied following this interim award, and it bring an ordinance seeking to sort of neglecting this tribunal's award. But Supreme Court again struck down that ordinance that Karnataka bought and issued Karnataka directive upholding the tribunal's interim award, which was subsequently gazetted by the Government of India on the 11th December 1991. So, it came in the gazette. Karnataka was now has to follow the interim award, although it was not agreeing, it was always in the oppose of that interim award, but still it was sort of it has to follow. So, Karnataka was thus forced to accept this interim award, and as a result of this, widespread demonstration and violence broke out in the parts of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, mostly centered in the Tamil populated parts of the Bangalore, which nearly lasted for 1 month. So, when this ordinance was cancelled, there was a lot of outrage seen, particularly in the Karnataka, okay, more so in the Bangalore, and the areas where Tamil people used to reside in Bangalore were became the main targets. Okay. Even the schools were closed for about a month during that period. So, there was lot of public agitation and aggravation also came. The issue basically got more problematic in 1995 when the monsoon failed badly and Karnataka said that I am unable to fulfill the interim order. So, Tamil Nadu approached the Supreme Court and later the tribunal. Tribunal examined the case and said that because monsoon is less, water is less, so it recommended that Karnataka release 11 TMC water. However, further with the mediation, even Karnataka did not agree to release 11 also. So, then there was again mediation by the Prime Minister at that time, and Karnataka agreed to release, means Karnataka was supposed to release 6 TMC fit to Tamil Nadu. So, that was done. In the meantime, the government set up 2 new bodies. The Kaveri River Authority, in fact, a Kaveri River Authority under that Authority Act was planned earlier, but the Karnataka particularly opposed it because that act like there were several provisions, like if Karnataka is not fulfilling the demand, then central will have the central can capture that dam. Okay. So, dam will come into the jurisdiction of the central government. So, Karnataka opposed it, it did not agree to this, but eventually Kaveri River Authority was consist and the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister of all 4 states became member of it. Okay. There was another Kaveri Monitoring Committee was also set up. The Kaveri River Authority which was set up was much simpler, not under that River Authority Act, okay, and those clauses and all that were removed because Karnataka was not agreeing to that. So, eventually they were removed. There was a Kaveri Monitoring Committee as an expert body which consisted of engineers and technocrats and other officers was also constituted. In summer of the 2002, that was again very high dry year. So, the monsoon failed in both Karnataka as well as in Tamil Nadu. So, since Karnataka denied to release any water to Tamil Nadu, okay, and issues was not settled in the Kaveri River Authority which was by the Chief Ministers and Prime Minister. So, Tamil Nadu moved to the Supreme Court and court ordered Karnataka to release 1.25 TMC fit water every day unless the Kaveri River Authority revise it. So, post this, the Karnataka started releasing water, but keep on pressing the another meeting of Kaveri River Authority where court order can be revised, and eventually it was succeeded in getting the court order revised from 1.25 TMC fit to 0.8 TMC per day. But still there were protest in the Kaveri districts, Karnataka government refused to release any water. So, even it was not releasing 0.8 TMC feet. So, after Supreme Court directives, Karnataka again resumed the release of water for a few days, but stopped again as Karnataka's farmers and their protest threatened to take a dangerous turn. So, there was a lot of protest in Bangalore that days. The buses were burned, the areas were burned, there was huge public this thing. It was turning quite ugly and had already spilled onto the streets of the Mandya districts, okay, which was one of the most affected districts. There was acquisition and counter acquisitions from both the sides. The Supreme Court observed this and then again ordered Karnataka on 3rd October to comply with the Kaveri River Authority decision and resume the release of water, but again Karnataka refused it, denied it, because the state of protest was very bad at that time. Various film actors, other celebrities, people from the various other sections of the society joined protest in both the states. Tamil TV channels and films were blocked in Karnataka. All the buses and vehicles from Tamil Nadu were restricted, were not allowed to enter into the Karnataka. So, the protest went up to that scale, and even if the political level or diplomatic level, somebody or the government would be willing to honor the Supreme Court decision, because of the public protest it couldn't arrange that courage to do that. There has been quite a few rounds of discussion took place in between, and eventually the Kaveri Water Dispute Tribunal gave its final decision on 5th February 2007. So, according to the discussion, it says that Tamil Nadu will get 419 TMC, Karnataka 270 TMC, Kerala 30 TMC and Pondicherry 7 TMC. The remaining 14 TMC were reserved for environmental protection. So, in order to achieve this, Karnataka has to release 192 TMC of water in a normal monsoon year for the Tamil Nadu. So, that was the final decision of the final verdict of the Kaveri River Water Dispute Tribunal, but even that was not acceptable to either parties. So, what happened eventually, that this kind of a summary what you see here, the major one. So, in 1990 it was made, in 1991 it gave its interim order, and then there was certain issue in 2007 it gave the final verdict, but the post the final verdict from the tribunal, the matter again went into the court, because Tamil Nadu and Karnataka both were unhappy with the decision and they filed a revision petition before the tribunal seeking a review. There has been quite a few development took place on the government level in between, quite a few conversations, arbitrations took place, and eventually matter went into the court, and Supreme Court on January 2018 declared that it has completed the hearing and it will pronounce its verdict soon, within a month. On 16th February 2018, the final verdict of the Supreme Court came. It reduced the 14 TMC fit water allocation to Tamil Nadu and Karnataka to release, earlier Karnataka was to release 191 feet, around that 191 TMC feet, but now as after the order of this, Karnataka has to release only 177 TMC water to Tamil Nadu for the next 15 years. So, this verdict also mandated to formally constitute a Kaveri River Management Board by the union government, and that too within 40 days of the implementation strictly of the tribunal award, means the final verdict of the court. So, these were the major developments over the Kaveri River disputes. Okay. and the final verdict which came recently this year, okay, in the month of February, last month in fact, if you see. So, this is one of the latest and one of the most talked about dispute. There has been quite a few other major interwater disputes. Okay. There was there was Godavari Water Dispute Tribunal, which was constituted in 1969 with the parties from Maharashtra, Andhra, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha. So, more or less actually like these stories are similar for so many other this thing. There has been disputes between the two nations and all that. So, this was constituted in around 70 and it was the final award was given in 1980. The Krishna Water Dispute Tribunal, which was set up in 1969, again the same month, involving Maharashtra, Andhra and Karnataka, that gave its award in 76. However, this dispute again arises. So, then there was another Krishna Water Dispute Tribunal 2 was also constituted later on. In between, the Narmada Water Dispute Tribunal was constituted to look for the disputes related to the Narmada water between Rajasthan, MP, Gujarat and Maharashtra. Its award came in December 1979. Ravi and Byas Water Tribunal was constituted for the issues between Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. So, this was constituted in April 86. Its report and decision given in April 87, quite early. However, the clarification and explanation sought from the tribunal by the state parties, also a presidential reference in this matter is before Supreme Court. Okay. So, as such even now the matter is under the court. Then Kaveri river water dispute, okay, this was we just discussed this, the final SLP which was filed has been cleared by the court recently last month. The major interwater disputes, if we see, so there is Krishna water dispute, which again the first tribunal was constituted early, the second tribunal again constituted in April 2004 for Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra, and this report and decision was given in 2010. However, there has been again lot of discussion or disagreement over decision, and SLP was again filed in the court and the matter is actually under sub judice in the court. Then Vasadhara Water Tribunal between Andhra Pradesh and Odisha was constituted in February 2010. The report and decision has not been given yet. Also, the state of Odisha has filed a SLP in Supreme Court against the appointment of one of the members of tribunal, and which is pending. So, even the like that SLP is pending, that Odisha has shown disagreement with the appointment of one of the members. So, first that gets clear, then only probably any hearing and those kind of things will take place. And then in November 2010 for a dispute with Mahadai river, Mahadai water dispute tribunal was constituted for states concerning Goa, Karnataka and Maharashtra, and this also has not given its decision yet. So, these are some of the major water disputes, and these are the sort of how the dispute resolutions take place, interstate dispute resolution take place in India. Apart from this, there are other type of disputes as we were discussing. So, there are ample examples, there are many number of examples, some of the popular cases of R.C. Mehta versus states, those kind of thing, where the judiciary has taken involvement in dispute, water related dispute resolution even at the micro scale. Okay. So, for even the pumping of the groundwater level or those kind of use of the small water resources. So, the micro and intra-state water disputes, if they are not amicably solved at the level of state, so people have moved to the judiciary and judiciary has considered that. So, there are several examples available on that as well. Then resolution of development related disputes. So, there are a lot of development related disputes as we have been discussing, but there is no set mechanism for resolution of these disputes. The government or civil society discussion takes place over this, and if consensus are built up, because these disputes are mostly the public agitation over the rehabilitation and these kind of things. So, people moving to the court or at times over this dispute of rehabilitation policies and these things. So, that are settled. There has been basically formation of temporary committees by the constitution of temporary committees by the government to look after some of these disputes, like for all the large dam and development project when there is a public agitation occurs. Involvement of judiciaries are also there. So, people file PIL or people move to the court for stopping such development projects often. So, then it goes to the court and court can take a decision or take a call, and at times political resolution options are also explored, that politicians and the leaders from the opposing group can sit and have a discussion and can reach on to some sort of conclusion, can reach some sort of resolution over these such disputes. So, these are about the major approaches, ways for taking care of disputes. So, we end this session as well as this week's lecture here, and in next week, which will be the last week for this course, we will take up the international agreements, international water agreements, international issues related to the water, and international dispute management practices in the next week. Thank you.